Hello world, welcome back to another episode of Let Them See Your Mind. I am your host, LD Marie, and let's get started. So today, one of my videos, I'm preempting one of my other previous videos, becoming a social worker in the UK. And I talked about it before applying for jobs or anything like that, you need to be registered with Social Worker England. And so today, this video is about going through the step-by-step process of how I went through the Social Work England information and how I got my information so quickly. So first things first, I did mine in October of 2020. So you may not get as fast the results as I did, but I was working within the midst of COVID. There was still kind of the same kind of workings that are currently happening now as far as like Social Worker England and the expediencies and registering and everything else. It's still the same. However, experience may not be my experience. You may not get it as fast as I did. Experience before I even tried to apply for, I was applying for jobs first, and someone tapped me on the shoulder and said that, hey, you need to register before you start applying, and so it will be a lot easier to do that before you actually get a job. Now, it may not be your experience. You may got the job and then you got your social work registration license, but I find it that if you already have the registration, that's just one step closer, especially during these times with the Social Worker England process, because a lot happened within the last cycle of the Social Work England process when I was registering for, I would say, the second, third time-ish. There was a lot of social workers within the country that couldn't register. There was a lot of people that waited till the last minute. And there was also some people that did register but found out there wasn't on the registration board due to a glitch or something like that. So I do keep saying this, like, do not try to replicate like or just come on to this channel and be like, well, I did mine in 4 months or 3 months and it was fine. It wasn't that long. It wasn't that long for you, but it's going to be longer for others depending on how the situation works because they're still trying to work out details. But mine, as far as with anything, I got mine, I would say my application was approved within 4 weeks. And then they came back and asked me, oh, do you want to, for the last 2 weeks, pay for the last 2 weeks to be registered and then pay for another one, or just pause your application, wait until December, and then do the whole full year. And I opted the second option. Okay, you just put my application on hold and I could just do a full year, because paying £22 just to be on the register for like 2 weeks, I can just tell an employer that, hey, my registration is down the pipeline. I'll be registered officially the 1st of December. So let's get into it. So going on to the website, and so before with anything, they already have information about if you're qualified as a social worker outside of the UK. And so they say before you apply and give all this information, but the most important information that you need to read is this scrutiny fee. CV? I think I'm saying it right. I don't know. To me, I don't know, but there is a non-refundable fee that is £495. So if we do the calculations for US, that's probably like $550, pretty close to $600, depending on what the transfer market is for the US dollar, depending on if you're coming in from the US or any other country. But that is a lot of money to put up front, and whether your application gets approved or denied, you're out of that significant amount of money. So I would highly suggest to go on to Social Worker England and make sure that your degree and your standards and professional standards match up with Social Worker England before you even start applying. Because if you don't look at what you experience within your schooling, whether you got your master's or your bachelor's or any other type of certificate, you need to make sure that it matches up with the professional standards for Social Worker England, because you're coming into a country and you've never done social work before, but the classes, the universities, everything else, pretty much, if we all want to be real social workers, pretty much the same all across the world. It's just governed by different laws based on your government within that country, and if you're talking about the United States, depending on what state. So you need to ensure that those professional standards add up to add up to your course descriptions and everything else. And so make sure that you're doing your research before making that significant amount of money going into the application. And this is just the beginning of becoming a social worker and the amount of money that you would spend before you even step foot on land. So next, you go through the process, you go through the application. The application is pretty straightforward. And so once you get to the application, and I'm going to show you the letter that they usually send. And so they give you an application number and they tell you with the following, and I'm going to give you a cheat sheet because this is what they're asking. If you already have this information on deck, then you can easily just send it back to them like off the rip, and it won't take as long. You just need to have all the information readily available, and it cuts down on that process of waiting so long, because I know some people have been saying that there's a 4 or 5 month wait in regards to social worker England registration, and you need to ensure that if you have all your information, you have everything, all your ducks in a row, then 9 out of 10 probably it will cut down the waiting cost. So they told me proof of address, such as like a bank statement or something that's addressed to me within the last 3 months. The second thing was a form of identification, whether it be your passport or your driver's license. And I had to provide an email for my course provider, which is basically the chair of the department for either my late degree. So I did my master's degree, since that's the latest degree that I had, and giving that email. Then also the email address for the regulatory body. So for in the state of Texas, we have just a standard email. So whatever your regulatory body within your state, as far as from America or wherever that you're coming from across the world. Copies of your social work qualification certificate. So for America, that would be our degrees, essentially, or our license. No, it wouldn't be our degrees. It would be our license. It would be the license and the degrees. My bad. So it would be the license and the degrees, and then also your transcripts, and then an outline letter of your education, training, experience, and how they meet your professional standards. So if all of that you already have on deck before you even do the application, it will be a lot easier, a lot smoother for you to do that. And then also making sure that you just send the information. So some of the information did require for me to do a certified copy. And what they requested, because I have a slew of emails, because this is my first time doing it, so I had a slew of emails. And shout out to Rebecca. She was my assigned person that was emailing me back and forth. Rebecca S. That's her that's the surname. But shout out to her, because she was very on it. She emailed me. She, like, the registration and advice team, they were on point, and Rebecca was very much helpful during this process. And you may not get a Rebecca in your instance, but I had a Rebecca, and Rebecca was on point. And once you have all the information you send off to them, they kind of explain to you what they do with that information, but make sure that all the copies that they're asking for certified are. And so what that means to certified for America folks, we just need to be notarized application, because sometimes when we need to get our transcripts, we have to get an official transcript, and it be sealed, and we can't unseal those things. However, you can get an unofficial transcript, give it to a notary, have it signed and everything else, and saying this is by who, by what, this, that, and the third. And Rebecca actually told me, like, they gave me like a little script. They gave me like a little script. I wouldn't say script. It was just a little stamp that says, like, this is what it needs to say, and verify that the original copy to the original version to the copy that you currently have. So that's basically what it is. And so they'll be contacting everyone to verify your qualifications. And they're also asking them to complete a course information form. They're going to ask your regulator to verify your registration. So like for state of Texas, they had to call my boards to make sure that I was registered within the state of Texas. And then also they're going to call my employer to verify my duties and expectations. You just need to have all your information in the bag before anything else, before you pay that nearly $600 go through this application. Once you have all that information, because mind you, I had to go back and forth. And for my Texas folks, I didn't realize that you had to do a form to send to Austin to let them know, hey, this person is trying to verify your license, and they're okay to verify your license. I didn't know that, because all I sent was the email and was like, look, this is the email, they'll be able to answer your questions. And so when Rebecca came back to me and was like, nah, I haven't received anything, and mind you guys, there are time limits in getting this information. You have to have all this information to, like, within 14 business days, and they will shut down your application if you do not have the information by that time. So you have to be mindful. So that's why I encourage anybody that is going to be registering for Social Work England, they need to ensure that they have all the information and get it on time and correctly before anything comes about, because they will shut down your application and you will lose out on that $600. And that's something that we don't want, because nobody wants to fork out $600 all for nothing. And so for my Texas girlies, I went onto the website and I found out that I had to fill out a form. And once I filled out that form, I had to send it off. And literally, since I was in Texas, I was about to drive down to Austin and hand it to him. But mind you, I was in 2020. I was in the midst of COVID. Even with COVID going on in Texas, I couldn't get into a government building. So I had to overnight the form to Texas. I was on the call and I was doing emails to this one person. Shout out to Christina if she's still working at the Texas ports. But she literally saved my ass from wasting $600. And I made sure to keep in contact with Rebecca. I was like, hey, this is what's going on. Please don't close my application. I got this done. I got that done. Please don't close my application. Because, your girl wasn't going to lose out on $600. But all in all, it worked out good. It worked out well, where they were able to get the form, they saw it, and then Rebecca was able to email them back with the attention of the person that I had been talking to, and she was able to verify my license, and everything was good. So, my Texas girlies, please go onto our state board website and fill out the form. And I'll provide a link in my bio to where that form is, and because it may be a different form now, because mind you, it's been 3 years since I've done this whole process. So I'll provide a link in the bio to where that form is for my Texas girls and boys that want to transition out of here. But for everybody else, for the regulated body that is any other state besides Texas, please ensure go onto your state board website to ensure that you don't have to fill out a form for them to say yes, you can verify that they have their license, blah blah blah. Because of course your license is not the only thing, they have to verify it through the body. My whole process, it started from October 16th, I believe. Let me say that. Oh no, October 6th. I talked when I first filled out the application and then got the initial stuff. So from October 6th, and my application was approved on November 19th. So literally less than a month. Well, not even less than a month, a little over than a month that I got all of my stuff situated and my application was approved. Even with the bumps and roads that I had going forward. Again, like I said, your story may be different than my story. But you still have to make sure that all your ducks in a row prior to everything. Then that's when they gave me the option of paying the £22 or just wait until December 1st. And I opted to go to December 1st and just have the full year. And that was it. That was my whole process of going through and registering with Social Work England. If you have any other questions about Social Work England, or if you're stuck in regards to England, just let me know. Put a comment down in the comment section. I can go further into detail. But that is my experience in registering with Social Work England. And hopefully with this video, this is helpful to you. You'll be able to zoom within the application in and out with no problem. Thank you so much for watching. Please go ahead and subscribe to all of my social media outlets as far as with Instagram and TikTok. You can also listen to me, the audio version of this podcast on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and Amazon Music. And you can also just catch me here on YouTube. Go ahead and click like, subscribe, and click on that little bell to make sure that you get notified of my videos. Thank you so much for watching, and we are out.